And here we are.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fixed Ops Roundtable After Dark. That was quite the entrance, Ted.
Well, I was planning for such an entrance, Kara. As you know, we always make grand entrances, but none more grand than our featured guest tonight, who is David Boyle from Traction. David, welcome.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, fantastic. Excited to have you.
And I love that. I love that intro. I was getting into the music. I was going to hopefully you were going to keep me on there on hold for a while there. I was getting into the music.
Dancing in the background.
Exactly. It's after dark, right? We're supposed to have a cocktail in our hand and having a good time.
That's right. Well, we're in the mode and in the mode for the big event, David, that's coming up. And so many things that are happening right now in our industry, big announcements. And we've got a big event coming up in September, Kara. Yeah. And when is that event exactly?
It's coming up quick. I can't believe we're already halfway through August, but in the middle of September, on September 20th, 21st, and 22nd, we have our big Roaring 20s Fixed Ops Roundtable, all virtual and online. So you can grab your complimentary tickets now at fixedopsroundtable.com.
Great, excited, and a big 3-day event and a lot coming. And of course, we're very grateful to all of our speakers and sponsors, such as David Boyle at Traction. And also we want to thank for tonight, After Dark, our exclusive sponsor, BG Products. We're very grateful to them for all they do for our industry. And thank you so much, BG Products, for being a big part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And we greatly appreciate all that you do. So perfect. Good stuff. So David, you've got a lot on the go.
We do. It's been a busy year. We got some good stuff coming, and we got a couple of big announcements coming out this week, actually. So it's we're pretty excited. This has been the last month and a half has been sort of a crazy time for us over at Traction, and we're excited about what's coming up.
And I see Tully Williams is with us tonight, and we are live, everybody. We're live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And Tully wants to talk tires. And David, nobody more authoritative on that subject in our industry than you.
I'm so glad Tully. I wore this hat just for Tully. I couldn't find a hat that said "Show me the hours," but I did have one that said "I will make you rich." So I wore this hat. I wore this hat just for Tully. This hat's for you, buddy.
You know, I like that. I like that idea of that first hat. Okay. Show me the hours.
Show me the hours.
Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly.
So now, Dave, you were just up here, if I may, in New Jersey, not this weekend, but the weekend before. And I understand that you had an opportunity to frequent the beautiful Jersey Shore. I don't know if it was the first time ever, but you were up here.
First time. I mean, I've been in New Jersey a lot over the years, but I had never been down to the shore. And it was, it's sort of interesting. I was down in where were we? I was down in Kentucky, actually, for the Kentucky Derby with some friends. And one of my friends, Sandy Sarami, who you and I both know well, lives up there, has got a house up there. And we were all kind of busting his chops a little bit about it because it was, he talks so wonderfully about the Jersey Shore. And I think people like me, when I think of the Jersey Shore, I think of, what was it, Snooki or whatever her name was? I mean, whatever the girl was in that show that was on TV, and a bunch of obnoxious people that talked funny. And he tried to tell us all that, about the great beaches and all this stuff. And it's nicer than any beaches down in Florida and all and so forth. So we were giving him a pretty hard time. So I thought I had to go up and see it, for myself firsthand. So my wife and I booked a trip and went up and spent a weekend with Sandy up there, and got to eat some great food, hang out with some really wonderful people, and we had a great time.
Well, Ed Roberts and Tully and David and Tony, who are with us tonight, there is a whole lot going on at the Jersey Shore, and not just sightseeing, David. There's some great food here as well, I understand. So we're very honored they had a chance to spend that time here in the Garden State. And what we thought we'd do tonight, we had Sandy film a little cameo, Sandy Sarami, who's, by the way, from New Jersey. His family has been here in the car business for many years.
His whole life.
And,
his father was a Pontiac dealer. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
Sarami,
right on Route 17. So it was Sarami Pontiac, and I believe
Pontiac.
And I believe they had a Zuzu too, maybe a few other products as well.
Yeah.
But of course, I know that. So Sandy came by this weekend, and we wanted to get a couple questions over to you, Dave, and test your trivia on your short trip to Jersey. So
I hope he doesn't have any pictures from the weekend, does he? He didn't share any pictures, did he?
No pictures.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
All right, guys. Sandy Sarami checking in from the beautiful Jersey Shore here in Spring Lake, New Jersey. And my man Dave Boyle, CEO at Traction, is speaking at the After Dark event for Ted Ing's Fixed Ops Roundtable. My man Ted Ings, quick shout out. What's happening, buddy? In the meantime, Dave, we've got 3 questions for you that we need answered. And so let's get it rocking and rolling here. First question is, what was your favorite Jersey Shore breakfast treat when you were here last weekend? Was it the Taylor ham, bacon, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel from world famous 3L Bagels? Or was it the incredible blueberry crumb bun from Muller's Bakery in Bayhead, New Jersey? Tough call, buddy, but you got to make it. That's why they pay you the big bucks over there at Traction. Question number 2 is, what was the cocktail that we enjoyed at Rod's in Seagirt, New Jersey, that you suggested, which was a monster success? And then number 3 is, what is Kathy planning for next summer for you and her in terms of a vacation? All right, guys, Sandy Sarami stepping up to step out, and I'm out.
You got all that wind-blown noise in the background from the shore, the seagulls going by, Dave, everything. So.
By the way, that's how he looks every day, whether he's working or not. He has that visor on, the V-neck T-shirt. He probably had swim trunks on and had just stepped off the beach. The man's a legend, and he has the life that I only aspire to have. So, all right. So these are set up softball questions, because I'm going to tell you something. As good as that crumb bun or whatever it was called, I'm not a huge sweet guy, especially in the morning. I enjoyed it. It was great. But it was funny because I had one thing on my list, only because I had a good friend of mine in the car business years ago when I was in Jersey, took me for what they called it a pork roll, which is Taylor ham, breakfast sandwich, which is usually Taylor ham, lots of cheese, egg, the whole 9 yards. And they're amazing. They are not good for you. They're deadly. I mean, your arteries start to harden immediately when you eat one of those things. Because those of you who are listening that don't know what Taylor ham is, I'm going to make everybody in New Jersey really angry right now. But it's basically fancy bologna, and they fry it, right? But it's really good, and they put lots of cheese, and they put it on an everything bagel or a Kaiser roll, and they're amazing. And
wait, is this like spam?
No, but it's better than it's some people in some of the Jerseyites refer to it as lunch meat. It's sort of like that, it's like Kleenex. It's the lunch meat of all lunch meats. So it's synonymous with lunch meat. But what Sandy doesn't know is I enjoyed it.
And Sandy's here tonight. I see him in the comments.
There he goes. What Sandy doesn't know, I believe, is that on my way out of town, I stopped for another one.
Oh,
so that'll give you your answer in terms of how much I enjoyed the Taylor ham pork roll sandwich. So they're amazing.
Okay, now let me come back to that Taylor ham. And Sandy, now that you're with us online, I want to just test you a little bit further, David. there's a condiment you can add to that when you place the order in the morning. Yeah, definitely not spam. It's called SPK. Do you know what that is when you order the Jersey sandwich that you can get SPK on? You know what that is?
You know what? I don't.
I didn't know this either. And I live here.
Failed the test.
And 2 years ago, Kara, my daughter was working in a little deli, and she said, "Dad, a lot of people want SPK on their breakfast sandwich. It's salt, pepper, and
ketchup." Yeah, I could have guessed that. Now, here's the thing. Now, I didn't want to say that I put ketchup on my pork roll the second time around because I think some people might find that offensive. But I will tell you something: pork roll sandwich with a little bit of ketchup on it, nothing better. And I had actually lost about 10 pounds before I went up and visited Sandy. I put it all back on in 3 days. So anyway.
All right.
Question number 2, that's an easy one and I can't take credit for this. This was actually a buddy of mine that works with me, got this idea. Everybody's about bourbon these days. Everybody's about old fashions. And I don't wear hats, Tracy. I don't. This is for Tully Williams. I don't wear hats, but I am tonight. Anyway, everybody's about bourbon old fashions these days. I mean, they're one of the most popular drinks ever. And there's something about a brown liquor in the summer that just doesn't seem summery to me, right? So a buddy of mine said to me one day, "Have you ever had what he referred to as a Mexican old fashioned or a tequila old fashioned?" And he made me one. And if you haven't tried it, you need to. And Sandy can attest to this because they are amazing. And basically, you make it the same way as you make an old fashioned. You just replace the bourbon with a really good tequila. And instead of sugar, use like an agave syrup or something. Same process, mix it up, put it on an ice ball. They are fantastic. And Sandy's going to kill me for this, but the last day I was there, I spent it at his house next to the pool, and we bought this nice, really expensive bottle of tequila. And what was interesting about the bottle of tequila was the bottle of tequila was full of tequila, and it was like a decanter, and in the lid of the bottle of tequila was the last shot. So what you do is you pull the bottom off the stopper, and the last shot was in the stopper that goes in the top. Oh. I'm not ashamed to admit that when I left his house on Sunday, the only thing that left in the bottle was the last shot in the lid. And I don't know whether Sandy drank that last shot or not. I hope he did. But we and his wife and his sister and my wife, we put a hurt on that bottle of tequila, I'll tell you. Had a great time. And the third question was, what is my wife, my beautiful wife, is planning a trip. I never would have thought that, she's an Arizona girl, loves the mountains in Colorado. Never would have thought that she would have been into New Jersey. She absolutely fell in love with it. She fell in love with Sandy's wife and his sister all over again. And it was just a fantastic time. And when they call it the Garden State, it's for a reason. People don't realize how green New Jersey is. It is unbelievably green. And we left Texas right now. We haven't had a drop of rain in 4 months, and everything is brown. And I mean, everything is brown. And so it was such a stark contrast when we got up there in the water and all the beautiful green trees and everything.
Green.
So anyway, she's looking for a vacation rental. She was going to spend, my wife recently sold her business and is now sort of semi-retired. And whether I go with her or not, she's spending a month at the shore next year. So if I'm stuck back here working, she said, "That's okay. You can just come up on the weekends and visit me, but I'm going to the shore for a month." Because she fell in love with the beaches, the architecture, the towns, everything. It was just we went there looking to have a good time, obviously, because Sandy and his wife and whatnot are good people, but we weren't expecting to like the Jersey Shore as much as we did. So there you go. There's my postcard. Sandy, you can send me a check in the mail. Hopefully, I've helped your property value.
Hey, Sandy, I got to give you some kudos because a couple times there, Dave Boyle referred to it properly, not as the coast, Kara, not as the beach, but it's the Jersey Shore. Okay,
shore,
so,
maybe.
Yeah,
I've heard that enough from Sandy that I wouldn't make that mistake. You're going down to the shore.
Down the shore, yes.
You're going down to the shore. If you live up where you guys live and where he lives, you're going down to the shore for the weekend.
Now, you may not know this. Sandy might be able to chime in, but I'm not sure what exit you were at the shore because everything here has a number on the parkway, in terms of exit. If you're below 100, you're heading towards the shore. And goes all the way down to exit 1. So
Right.
down
Yeah.
Cape May.
Yeah. We were at Spring Lake. That's all I know. We stayed at Spring Lake, New Jersey, which sounds as beautiful as it was. So
Wow.
there you go.
All right.
That
All
was
right.
my weekend. So, all right.
Sean Butler's here. Sean, I think we're right. Let's go tires and alignments for retention. So let's talk a little bit about that, my friend.
You got it.
Traction. What's
Do
happening?
this. We are. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because we have a big announcement coming up at the end of this week. But many people know that we have been working on sort of the next iteration of our data capture part of our solution, which is the equipment piece. And a lot of people don't realize that we started this 13 years. We've been at this. And if I showed you pictures of some of the stuff that we built 13, 14 years ago, they were crude and archaic, to say the least. And we've come a long way. We brought a bunch of new competitors into the space that didn't think they would want to get into this space, which we're quite proud of. But in terms of the hardware equipment side of it, all the changes that we've been making over the last 10 years have been sort of evolutionary. What we're working on now and what we're getting ready to launch, I would consider to be revolutionary. It's a brand new way of doing things. It's not using lasers. And it's just a different way with neural networks and AI and some really cool stuff that I think I have the smartest team of people that work for me. I put them up against anybody in the industry, and they have been working 7 days, 10 hours a day for a year. And we started with a blank piece of paper, and we have built something that, dare to say, I think only our team could have built. And the last thing I'll say on this before I turn it over to you guys, for some questions is the reason we did this was not for us. It was for our customers. One of the things that I wanted to accomplish in this business was I wanted to take the concept of these tools with the software that we've built and the text messaging and the traction portal and all the stuff that we provide to help our dealers sell more tires and alignments. And I wanted to make it mainstream. And what I mean by that was this had to be something that every dealer could put in regardless, and price and facility and all of those things just didn't become part of the conversation. And unfortunately, I saw this space going in the wrong direction. Two of our main competitors, I'm not going to name them. One of them I can't because every time I do, they threaten to sue me. But I won't name them, but they're the company with a red logo, and their name sounds like the guy that kicks the ball on 4th down for a football team. How's that? That probably won't get me sued, but anyway.
Dave, we know who it is.
Yes, good. They're going in the wrong direction, in my humble opinion. Ted, they're going in the wrong direction. These things are getting more complicated and more expensive, and they're getting out of reach of almost every dealer. And what I mean by out of reach is that if you're lucky, you can afford one of these things. But most dealers today don't have a single lane drive. They have multiple lane drives. They have 2, 3, 4 lanes. Down at Henson, as an example, Kerry, you guys have big wide drives. You can put 4 or 5 cars in those drives. Well, if you're only putting one of these systems in because that's all you can afford, well, you're only going to capture, a small percentage of your opportunity. And that makes it hard to make a return on investment on these things. It makes it hard to justify them. And from the time we started, my mission was to get these things to a place from an affordability standpoint that every dealer could have one and they become mainstream. And I'm excited to sort of, just tiptoe to the edge here, that when you see what we've done here at the end of this week, we've accomplished that. And with our new pricing model and how we're going to go to market, and I'll just throw one little tidbit out there. There's no more equipment anymore. We don't charge for equipment, and I'm going to leave it at that. So
Hey.
don't want to kill my own thunder here.
You're certainly bringing out the best in the audience because we got a lot of folks chiming in tonight.
Yeah.
Scott Trainer, I just saw Sean Reyes on there a couple times. Steve Apicella, of course, Tony Owens, and here's Jamie from Update Promise. So, Jamie, you're right. Okay, that I wish I had that tool on the drive as well. It's the ultimate, and you're right, Dave. Why have it in just one lane? Because that's not the real world. Dealers have multiple lanes in that drive.
Right. Exactly.
And you're very wise to have realized that the price was prohibitive from dealers being able to be in that tires and alignment game, which is so critical. And now, Kara and I were talking offline before we got started, all the things that are probably coming in the car business, tires are going to be never more important than they are today,
Right.
which, Kara, I think leads us to our first question. Kara did some homework, so she's got a couple questions for you tonight.
Yeah.
Fire away, Kara.
Getting me
All
up for
yours.
this first one, Ted.
Yep.
So I wanted to know, is the evolving EV market and high vehicle prices making consumers more conscious of their tires?
I would say yes on a couple of fronts, Kara. I think, first of all, let me address the high vehicle prices. I mean, the impact that high vehicle prices and the dealer added markups that we're seeing in the marketplace in a lot of stores, not all, thankfully, but in a lot of stores, I think is forcing people to rethink the decision, either by their choice or not. In many cases, they can't get the vehicle they want. And I think that over the next few months, we're going to see people keeping we are seeing people over the next couple of years, I should say, people are keeping vehicles longer, either because they can't get out of it or they can't get a car they want. And as a result, I think that they're going to need to spend more money on maintenance and upkeep to keep the older vehicles going. So that sort of leads right into tires in terms of people being more conscious. And I think you're going to find some people saying, you know what, I'll spend a bit of money to keep the old one going rather than pay a $10,000 or $15,000 dealer market adjustment markup, on a car that I know is not worth it, quite frankly. And I'm really afraid for a lot of dealers that are doing that, to be honest with you. I think it's bad for business. I just do. I think a lot of people are going to be upside down. I know this isn't your question, but I think a lot of people are going to be upside down in these vehicles, and it's going to be a mess. And as far as the EVs go, I mean, I think, the market share in them is just too small, quite frankly, to know. I mean, we do know with some work that and some data that we got from Tesla a while back. I've shared this on a couple of the roundtables, Ted, that the Tesla data shows that these vehicles go through tires much more rapidly than an ICE engine vehicle. So we know that tires are going to be even more important and are going to be more needed to be changed more frequently. There's a bigger impact, though, I think, on EVs, and this is something that I just finished writing an article on that's going to be coming out here in the next little while, and it speaks to what's going to replace the oil change as the trigger for the visit. We literally have spent 35 years, 40 years in this industry building maintenance packages. I mean, I just saw Ed Roberts pop up. What's the one thing that's in every service interval, regardless of what the mileage is and what the package? They all start with an oil change, right? Yeah. They all start with an oil change. The oil change has been the trigger for the visit since forever. That's going to go away. So what's going to be the trigger? Why are we going to have the customer come back? Are we just going to let them come back whenever there's something wrong with it? What is scheduled maintenance going to look like on these EVs? And is there going to be enough frequency in it that's going to allow the dealer to maintain a relationship with the consumer? Because they know if we don't have that relationship and service, it's going to impact on our ability to sell them another car. So I think, that whole thing needs to be factored and figured out. Of course, selfishly, I believe that with vehicles needing, more AV vehicles needing more tires, I think a natural trigger for the visit is some sort of a tire inspection. Right, bring it in. Let's make the tires on the EVs tend to be lower profile, tend to be more performance tires, which are more expensive to replace. And I think from a marketing perspective, helping the consumer manage that expense on the vehicle, I think is a good reason to adopt that cycle to bring them back in. And I think that's something the dealers need to be thinking about. I think that's going to be the biggest impact that EVs are going to have on the dealership in terms of service is going to be, it's not so much what work isn't there and what work isn't there. I'm not one of these people that thinks that all the work's going to go away. I mean, if you think about the car, the only major thing that's difference between it is the engine, right? They still have radios in them. They still have interiors. They still have things that are going to break. They still have things that are going to fall under the need for recalls. And they're still going to need tires and alignments and wiper blades and things like that. But what they are not going to need is tune-ups and oil changes and a lot of the things that are associated with an ICE engine. So those things need to go away, are going to go away, I should say. And the things we need to get better at are all the other things that I've been preaching for 10 years now that unfortunately dealers aren't very good at. So that worries me.
I met with a dealer, Dave, over the weekend, and going back to what you mentioned, that additional dealer markup that dealers are charging right now for their new vehicles, cars, and trucks. He told me something I hadn't heard before. He's including in that ADM, rather than the paint sealant and the other protection products, he's including the vehicle's first 4 tires when they're needed in that ADM. So every vehicle that they sell, every new car that has an ADM, he's including the 4 tires in that sale. And I said, what happens if the customer, let's say, not a General Motors car, of course, but let's say in 2 years sells that vehicle or trades the vehicle? He says, Ted, we've accounted for it. We cut the customer a check back. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting. I think the question is why. Why not just not charge the dealer markup? Why not just sell the car listen, I am going to make probably, I got to be careful what I say here because I have lots of friends in this industry and lots of customers. But I just bought a new vehicle recently, and I have a couple of customers here in the Dallas market that I didn't buy it from, quite frankly. And I didn't buy it from because, they have a $10,000 to $15,000 markup on Ford F-150s, which is ridiculous. And I'll give a shout out to my good friend Ed Roberts. I literally, I flew all the way. Yeah, you did. I did. I flew all the way to St. Augustine and bought a car from Ed because he's still selling them. For those that are listening, Ed and I know a bunch of other dealers are still selling at cars at MSRP. And in today's world, heck, I used to get cars back of MSRP, but in today's world, I'm happy to pay MSRP. And I was happy to go there and make the drive and drive the car back because I saved, 10 grand as far as I'm concerned. Since I got back, I've had 3 friends come to me and say, look, I was going to buy a car at X, Y, and Z, but they want, 10 grand more for it. Do you have anybody that'll sell me a car at invoice? And, I sent Ed a couple of referrals as a result of it, but I just think it's bad for business. I think people are going to have a bunch of people that are going to end up very upside down in these cars, regardless of what you give them to try to offset it. I think you're going to have people that 3 or 4 or 5 years are going to want to trade out of that vehicle and find out that they're 10 grand upside down in it and they can't get out and they're stuck with it for a long time. I just think it's bad for business, but that's one service guy's opinion.
We saw a post that you had today on LinkedIn, and that really formed the basis for this next question, Dave.
Yep. How do you present the need to consumers without requiring the service advisor to sell?
Well, I will tell you, this is a conversation I had with my team, and I think I saw Roger Cotton on earlier. He and I have had this conversation numerous times. Today's world, it's about transparency and education. The consumer wants information, and they don't necessarily want it delivered, out of somebody's mouth. We're in the technology age. The way we do it with the Traction platform is we take all this information, including through our integration partners with our great friends at Dealer Tire and Tire Rack. We can even do pricing. We give the customer what they need in the quote, and we send it right to the customer on their smartphone. So all the advisor has to do at that point is take an order. The customer's got the information, they've got the quote, they know what they need. It's very transparent. It doesn't come across as a hard sell. It's the ultimate in soft selling. It's the ultimate in not selling, quite frankly. You're just giving the customer information. And I think it's the future. I do. I think that I think we need to get rid of paper in this business, and sending things electronically to the customer, in my opinion, is the way to do it. We use our smartphones for everything nowadays, and in my opinion, kiosks and TV screens and all of that stuff is just, that's old school, right? When was the last time anybody went to an airport and checked in at the kiosk? Mm-hmm. Where do we check in for our flight? We check in on our phones. Our boarding passes on our phones. So, the phone has become sort of an extension of our arm, and we need to use that platform because that's how the customer wants to be communicated. And, that's what we do with Traction. And what it does is it allows the service advisor to focus on some of the other things that they need to do. And it allows them, and this is one of our mantras at Traction, they can sell more with less effort because we help do some of the heavy lifting for them. It's sort of like that easy button that Staples had. We try to make that one little piece of it easier for the advisor so it's more effective, and it allows the advisor more time to do some of the other things that they need to do and give the customer a scenario where they can choose what they want, they can buy rather than be sold to.
Wow. And I think the audience agrees. Some great comments coming in, Dave, as you're speaking here. So just really overwhelming to see, the outpouring tonight on tires and alignments. And now you've got a big announcement coming up later this week. You said on Thursday, is that right?
Yeah, later this week we're going to be. Stay tuned to LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, and it'll be on our webpage and stuff. But stay tuned towards the end of this week. You're going to see the big unveiling, and essentially, as I said, it's sort of the next version of our data capture platform, and we're going to be talking about which there's a lot of dealers that already know about it. Since we soft launched this, Ted, about 4 months ago now. We soft launched this to our sales staff, and they've been out basically pre-signing dealers and taking orders. And since about the middle of March, we've signed about 140 dealers that are patiently on a waiting list to get the next and latest version of it. Because not only is it a different device, as I mentioned, but it comes with a completely new pricing model that we'll be talking about and making some news with here at the end of the week. So we're excited about it.
Well, David Boyle and Traction are revolutionizing the industry. And Dave, we're looking forward to that. And we're also looking forward to seeing Dave in September. David Boyle is going to be delivering a special segment at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, the Roaring 20s event. And that event is coming up, Kara, in September. Is it the 20th,
September
right?
20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Wow. And that's right around the corner. So, Dave, we're looking forward to seeing you back at the roundtable for that big event.
Can't wait, guys. Can't wait.
Super stuff. So, hey, thank you so much. Everybody, if you missed any part of tonight's show, we now have the ability where you can see it right away, immediately. And Kara, that's on our YouTube channel.
Yes,
right?
we're on YouTube now. So if you miss any of our After Dark shows or you want to rewatch them, you can go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe now and watch them live, or catch a replay over at our Fixed Ops Roundtable YouTube channel. So we're just about everywhere now, Ted.
And, Dave, I got to tell you that we really spent a lot of time on that YouTube channel in the last few months, because that's become a great resource where people want to come back and see what Dave Boyle said, 2 events ago, or, at the tire summit that we had, and everything is there. So we've got it available, and YouTube is a great resource, and it's all cataloged online. So
fantastic. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, fantastic. Dave, thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you. Thanks, Kara. Good to see you again. Love the hair, by the way. Keep the hair.
Thanks.
Keep the hair.
I'll be looking forward to seeing what you wear at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, David.
Oh, I'm going to have to work on that. I don't have a cool hat like Ted, so I'm going to have to figure something out. But I will figure something out. It won't be this fancy hat. Like I said, this one was just for Tully. So.
Hey, Sean Rias, who's on, was at a couple shows ago, and he really got fancied up with the hat, and they had the martini and the whole thing. So it was pretty impressive to watch.
I can't compete with Sean. There's no way. So I'm not even going to try.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're excited to have you on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and I'm excited to learn more. But thank you, David, for being on the show tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting during our live stream. And on behalf of myself, Ted Ings, and David Boyle, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Peace out, everybody. Thank you.